He called it a scam. Now he's raking in tens of millions. He promised to serve his country, but critics say he's serving his own wallet. If that does not grab your attention, buckle up. Because today we dive deep into one of the most talked about controversies in American politics, the breathtaking saga of Donald Trump's alleged self-enrichment. How did the man who once declared that his name alone was worth sky-high sums come to be associated with everything from gold-plated phones to his very own meme coin? And why is MSNBC's Ari Melber, someone no stranger to political dramatics, describing it all as unlike anything we've seen? Today we'll explore the heart of this swirling storm, Trump's constant marketing of his brand, the jaw-dropping proceeds he's reportedly gained, and the potential conflicts of interest unleashed by these dealings. We'll examine what this might mean for the integrity of government and whether foreign investors are using these ventures to steer the political agenda in the United States. We'll delve into the unsettling possibility that a president could financially benefit from an entirely new corner of the digital universe, cryptocurrencies, after he once shrugged them off as a scam. By the end of this journey, you'll hear staggering figures spelled out in words. You'll encounter alleged sidesteps around campaign finance rules, and you'll uncover how the White House itself could be entangled in these controversies. In this episode, we'll address some urgent, burning questions. How might meme coin promoters and international financiers be angling for influence with a former president? What does it mean when critics say Trump has weaponized his brand? Is the line between private profiteering and public duty already a blurry spot in Washington, D.C., now on the brink of disappearing altogether? And could any of this wrongdoing be pinned on the ex-commander-in-chief, especially given past legal tangles like Trump University and hush money scandals for which he's faced indictments? Let's dive in. First, picture this: a lineup of products bearing the Trump name, each more head-spinning than the last. We've all heard about Trump steaks and Trump vodka. Maybe you even recall the short-lived Trump Airlines or the glitzy Trump ties. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. Over the years, Trump's brand has been attached to everything from chocolate bars to cologne, from real estate enclaves bearing gold-plated signage to a so-called university that spawned massive legal suits. So, yes, merchandising is nothing new in the Trump universe. Yet, critics note that the magnitude and audacity reached a flashpoint once he entered the White House. Supporters argue that Trump, ever the businessman, simply took advantage of his proven marketing prowess. After all, they point out, no one forced Americans to snap up all that Trump swag. But detractors say he twisted the mighty powers of the presidency into a personal revenue engine. Why else, they ask, would anyone fork over tens of thousands of dollars to join glitzy Trump clubs or buy pricey meme coins plastered with campaign slogans unless they expected something in return? The potential for ethically questionable dealings soared higher than the golden letters he once plastered onto Fifth Avenue buildings. According to MSNBC anchor Ari Melber, whose coverage of the Trump saga has been nothing short of relentless, the situation is unlike anything we've seen in history. In his telling, no prior occupant of the Oval Office tried so passionately to market their name for profit while also leading the nation. After all, how many ex-presidents or in-office presidents minted tens of millions of dollars from merchandising oriented around their political brand? So, is this simply a brazen new standard for occupant number 45? Or have we only seen the tip of the iceberg? Let's step through some of these controversies systematically. Take the crypto phenomenon, for instance. Crypto, like Bitcoin and other alternative digital currencies, once faced Trump's dismissals as no more than a fluke or scam. But something changed the moment a new wave of meme coins bearing his name came to his attention. Suddenly, he was hawking them on social media, encouraging supporters to jump on board. Financial disclosures suggest enormous sums have landed in Trump-linked accounts. Critics suspect that foreign nationals might be driving investments, hoping for a seat at the table if Trump were to return to a position of power. The question is, could outside entities be laundering their influence through whimsical coins emblazoned with the Trump brand? If that doesn't raise your eyebrows, consider the comments from individuals who have apparently bought into these meme coins specifically to get political access, perhaps to nudge American policy in a direction favorable to them. We have rarely witnessed such a direct marriage between the wild, unpredictable crypto world and a towering political figure. It feels like a reality television plot gone extreme, and it might just be a cornerstone of the challenges facing the current political ecosystem. Some experts claim that these activities sail precariously close to campaign finance rule violations, especially if foreigners are pumping money into projects designed to shore up support for a political figure. One might ask, is it just a matter of time before we see more legal entanglements swirl around these coins? But let's put a pin in that and take a broader view of Trump's self-enrichment patterns. MSNBC has recounted a litany of examples, and each one seems to outdo the last. From stakes in hotels across the globe, to suspiciously profitable real estate deals, to apparel lines that soared in sales during his presidency, there's always the question of whether the White House was playing the part of the ultimate brand pitch. Indeed, that is part of the reason so many people were keeping an eye on Trump's visits to his own private properties while in office, or the promotions that popped up on official channels. Are these normal course of business moves for a flashy entrepreneur turned president, or indications of deeper ethical quandaries? As if that isn't enough, we also have the matter of Trump University, the ill-fated educational program that ended in tens of millions of dollars in legal settlement payouts due to accusations of false promises and misleading claims. Although that controversy predates his White House tenure, it set the tone for an approach that critics call predatory and supporters call business savvy. Then came hush money payments, alleged hush money payments, and the swirl of indictments that hammered Trump's legal team. According to Ari Melber, these predicaments, rather than discouraging Trump, may have emboldened him to push harder to monetize his brand so he can afford more legal battles and maintain support among his base. If you're finding this story equal parts fascinating and concerning, do me a quick favor. Share that sense of intrigue by letting others know you appreciate content like this. It's a small gesture that goes a long way toward fueling deeper investigations and shining a spotlight on issues that matter. Now, let's pivot and dig into the personal dimension. There is a long-standing question about how Trump's family factors into all of these deals. Ari Melber points out that another crypto mining and holding company, reportedly linked to the family, scooped up over $200 million. Would these staggering sums have flowed so freely if the family name was not emblazoned on a golden pedestal? Critics argue that the family stands at the front of the line to profit from Trump's time in office. According to official ethics rules, presidents enjoy certain exemptions that members of Congress do not. This means they can, in many cases, keep personal business benefits while simultaneously wielding the authority of the presidency. Supporters of Trump spin these concerns differently. They often argue that he deserves the fruits of his business acumen, insisting that no law prohibits a president from maintaining financial assets. They say he's done nothing wrong, that every move he's made is well within the scope of his rights, and that the scrutiny is merely political grandstanding. But critics question whether these financial dealings have inched uncomfortably close to the line of corruption. Maintaining vast global holdings while also negotiating with world leaders is a monstrous conflict of interest waiting to happen, according to many ethicists. Indeed, big questions hover. Did foreign politicians or wealthy oligarchs stay in Trump hotels or buy Trump properties in hopes of currying favor? Next, we come to the heart of Ari Melber's on-air reaction, the meme coin mania that might be a gateway for foreign nationals to influence American policy. Melber explains how these coin offerings can attract foreign investors by promising them direct access to Trump events, access that might allow them to air their policy preferences to the man who shaped the Republican agenda in the era of his presidency. From suspected hush money to hush-hush deals, it's no wonder MSNBC's anchor calls this entire fiasco unlike anything we've seen. It's as though the carnival barkers have arrived in Washington, and the chance to ring the bell for a prize might just be for sale. But maybe the most jarring piece of the puzzle arises from Trump's own contradictory statements about crypto. He once labeled it suspicious. He compared it unfavorably to the American dollar, insisting the latter was the only currency that mattered. Yet the second a meme coin with his visage soared in popularity, so did his alleged endorsement, followed by a wave of new minted coins, swirling hype, and enormous sums reportedly funneling in. This abrupt U-turn energizes critics who see the entire endeavor as a meticulously orchestrated hustle, bridging the gullibility of some supporters with the cunning opportunism of a marketer-turned-politician. Against this richly colored backdrop, let's not forget that Trump has been indicted but never fully convicted, aside from the concluded business-related hush money accusations in New York that triggered legal quagmires. While those legal storms might deter a traditional politician, this is Donald Trump, the man who campaigned on the premise that controversy propels his brand. And if Ari Melber's coverage has taught us anything, it is that, to date, Trump has deftly eluded the harshest consequences that might thwart his business ambitions. What about the wider implications for democracy or for everyday citizens? Critics worry that if a president can so brazenly market personal products, even turning potential foreign meddling into an avenue for profit, it sets a grim precedent for the future. Might subsequent leaders, inspired by Trump's success, try to brand every artifact of their presidency and fill their coffers with foreign money? Would the seat of American leadership dissolve into a promotional stage show? It's a sobering thought that resonates beyond partisan lines. Whether you stand with Trump or oppose him, the structure of democracy itself could be tested by such blurred lines. Meanwhile, foreign investors watch eagerly. Analysts say that for them, brand-driven politicians, especially those who might return to the Oval Office, represent golden opportunities to shape policy. If you can buy into the brand, you might also purchase an avenue to a favor or a favorable policy shift. In most corners of Washington, this dynamic is frowned upon, but the laws can be murky. We find ourselves in the cryptic twilight where the art of the deal meets the code of campaign finance. Add digital tokens to the mix, and it becomes a labyrinth few can unravel easily. Supporters of the meme coins insist these are mere tokens of appreciation, a fun novelty item. But Ari Melber's sharper lens, backed by MSNBC's platform, suggests a more worrying narrative. The possibility that entire swaths of foreign capital might be funneling into a prospective presidential campaign through coin purchases or event sponsorships underlines the seriousness of the situation. The more that Trump's brand thrives, the more it can be leveraged, critics see, to short-circuit the usual ways we keep money out of politics. Our next major point, let's talk about the legal recourse or lack thereof. Past presidents generally placed assets in blind trusts or limited the scope of their outside business activities to avoid conflicts. Trump, however, refused to fully divest. This had immediate implications. For example, the Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C. became a magnet for lobbyists and diplomats, many of whom felt it a wise investment to stay there or host events. Though the existence of profits from that hotel is not in itself an indictment, it stirs constant debate about whether Group X or Corporation Y sought to curry favor. When asked if it was morally acceptable for a president to earn from these heightened business operations, supporters said it was fair game. They maintained that the president's family should not lose the freedom to profit from a legitimate enterprise just because he was in the White House. Critics, on the other hand, hammered home that mixing presidential power with labyrinthine corporate interests undermines the principle of unbiased governance. The question remains, if no major legal constraints exist, will future presidents replicate this model on an even grander scale? The standoff is only intensified by the reality that Trump stands indicted on multiple fronts. Not just the hush money fiasco, but also allegations related to confidential documents and potential attempts to sow confusion about election results. Each new case shakes up public opinion, though so far, it hasn't definitively halted his forward momentum. On the contrary, the coverage may have stoked interest in his brand. In that sense, the controversies might fuel more business opportunities, as bizarre as that may sound. Let's not forget that the mainstream media thrives on sensational stories, and there is no denying that Trump's whirlwind of scandals delivers ratings. MSNBC anchor Ari Melber emerges as a particularly vocal critic, painting a picture of ongoing scandal that dwarfs past White House controversies. He references everything from the grand fiascos, like the hush money allegations, to the trivially surreal, like hawking Trump-branded Bibles. And so the audience is left asking, how can he continue pushing the boundaries of business ethics without facing real accountability? All of this can feel like an endless wave of revelations. However, there's a silver lining. Public awareness is heightened, and discussions about implementing stricter legal frameworks for presidential business interests are surfacing. Some lawmakers want more robust rules that explicitly forbid a sitting president from profiting off the office. Others propose better safeguards to expose foreign efforts at infiltration. In a world where digital technologies allow for lightning-fast transfers of money, the boundaries between domestic and foreign might erode faster than legislation can adapt. From a purely human interest perspective, many wonder about Trump's motivation. We have heard him talk about patriotism, making America great again, and draining the swamp. But critics say he replaced the old swamp with a new personal brand empire, one that thrives on political theatrics. Perhaps we'll never fully know whether it's purely opportunism or a genuine desire to show off a famous brand. But MSNBC, Ari Melber, and a parade of investigative journalists are determined to keep asking tough questions. Here's a question for you. Where do you stand? Are these legitimate business ventures crippled by political spin, or is the brand building so outlandish that it undermines democracy itself? We'd love for you to reflect on these matters. And if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, feel free to show your support with a friendly gesture, perhaps by reaching out with any thoughts, or even recommending this exploration to a friend who's eager for clarity. We only do 2 calls to action, so consider this our invitation to stay connected. Now, returning to the broader narrative, let's outline the potential endings to this high-stakes drama. Scenario 1. A wave of legal challenges eventually corners Trump, restricting future involvement in brand promotions tied to political campaigns. Scenario 2. He somehow enters or re-enters the White House, overshadowing these controversies as mere background noise. Scenario 3. An entirely new wave of exposés emerges, possibly from whistleblowers, that uncovers the true reach of foreign investors in Trump's brand empire, and that development could reshape campaign finance laws at the highest levels. In each of these scenarios, the meme coin factor looms large. While political merchandise has always existed, from bumper stickers to t-shirts, there's a new dimension when it comes to intangible assets like crypto. The anonymity behind certain crypto transactions might allow for influence from unknown or unscrupulous international players. Some argue that, for a figure as polarizing as Trump, the potential for illicit manipulations is nearly infinite without robust oversight. Then, there is the matter of the electorate's appetite for scandal. With each revelation, some shrug it off as just Donald being Donald, while others become more alarmed. Yet with every hush money indictment or settlement for a self-named university, the question arises, does the brand indeed remain unbreakable? So far, Trump's supporters say yes. They relish in the outsider persona of a man who seemingly can do no wrong in their eyes. The rest are left grappling with what it means if an ex-president or future president can simply skirt around the normal guardrails. MSNBC's anchor frames the conversation around core democratic principles. If voters can no longer be certain that their leaders' decisions come from a place of public service rather than personal gain, the entire bedrock of the American system might quake. From the vantage point of a media watchdog, the combination of indicted ex-president, flamboyant brand deals, and foreign-infused cryptocurrencies is an explosive brew. It ties into a deep-seated fear that foreign powers, be they adversarial nations or wealthy interest groups, might gain undue control over policies that affect everyday citizens. So, we circle back to the impetus behind all this outrage. The notion that Trump, already indicted for business-related hush money allegations, continues to flourish financially in ways never before seen in the White House sphere. The laws, as they stand, might be too archaic or too limited to curtail such activities effectively. The conversation thus shifts to whether new legal frameworks are needed, or whether it's the public's responsibility to demand accountability. We may never get a complete bulletproof timeline of Trump's business deals. There might be undisclosed agreements, off-the-record handshake deals, or quiet crypto back channels. What we do have are glimpses provided by reporters, whistleblowers, and occasionally leaked documents. Ari Melber's coverage functions as a persistent siren, warning that if we do not pay attention now, future leaders might push this envelope even further, potentially transforming the White House into a personal vending machine for the occupant. At this juncture, it's worth recalling that Trump's legal entanglements have, so far, not resulted in a definitive knockout. Impeachments and indictments, while historically significant, did not bar him from re-entering the political field. That reality alone encourages him, and perhaps others, to see the office of the presidency as a brand amplifier. Moreover, if the population remains polarized, the fear is that each side might ignore glaring acts of self-enrichment just to keep its champion afloat. In the end, the moral lines around self-enrichment, especially for leaders entrusted with great power, become the central stage for this narrative. The example set by Trump, the flamboyant synergy between marketing, politics, wealth, and legal brinkmanship, ushers in a new era. It is an era where meme coins glimmer with the potential to circumvent finance rules, where foreign millionaires may quietly insert their preferences into the halls of power, and where indicted leaders can still appear unwavering in front of their unstoppable brand expansions. And with that, we conclude today's deep dive. Whether you see Trump as a shrewd entrepreneur navigating harsh media waters, or a political figure whose appetite for profit dwarfs his responsibilities, the issues raised here affect every American who cares about democracy, transparency, and fairness. We hope this exploration kept you engaged right from that explosive opening statement. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and stay alert. This may be only the first chapter in a saga so far beyond the typical boundary of political drama that it feels closer to a surreal thriller. The final outcome, and who emerges unscathed or indicted, remains anyone's guess.